views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix. Brother Mike is back on the radio. Welcome to Filthy Fridays, HardcoreChristianity.com. Thank you for your time. Today's Bible study, the decline of American Islam. Wait till you see this Pew Research study. It is mind-boggling. Please quickly call somebody and tell them the radio program's on. This is Brother Mike. I am the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. We're in Central Phoenix. We're on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. HardcoreChristianity.com is the website. We have 2 services every week. You'll see that on the website. 7 p.m. Pacific time. Live services Thursday and Friday nights. I teach on Friday nights for my radio listeners. Both services we have preaching, teaching, healing, and deliverance. Off the website, you can join us on our Facebook pages. Hardcore Christianity is one. Blessings is the other. On the Blessings page, we post all the remarkable healings that have occurred at the Arizona Deliverance Center. We've had thousands of people delivered from demons, hundreds physically healed. You're next, by the way. You can sign up for a free seminar on the website. You can send us a donation off the PayPal page. That would be wonderful. Thank you for supporting us for the last 16 years. You can also support us by contacting Sister Karen. She's on the homepage of the website. She'll be happy to list your house for you. She loves working with born-again Christians, that's for sure. Thank you for all your support and thank you for all your prayers. America is being invaded by Muslims. Everybody knows that. We see it on the news all the time. Here in Phoenix, you see mosques popping up all over the place. But did you know, nationally, Islam is in a decline? Check this out. Here's the article. It's a short one. It says, quote, in many in the media, theologians and pollsters seem to be in a consensus that the data shows American Christianity is in a steep decline. A series of polls from the last few years revealed that the church is hemorrhaging members at an alarming rate, particularly millennials. But while analysts will continue to assess and contest the validity of such studies, one thing's clear. There's another faith experiencing an even steeper decline, Islam. A Pew survey taken earlier this year shows that while America's Muslim population has risen by some 50% in the last 10 years, an astonishing 23% of those raised as Muslims no longer identify with the faith. That means that approximately 1 in 4 Muslims in this country, the United States, will leave their faith over their lifetime. As Michael David puts it at the Catholic Herald, quote, Americans are unmosquing at an even faster rate than they are unchurching. Wow. Quote, there's also an important factor that seems to increase the likelihood of an exodus from the Islamic faith. Guess what it is? Immigration. According to Pew, one striking difference between former Muslims and those who have always been Muslim is in the share who hail from Iran. Those who have left Islam are more likely to be immigrants from Iran, 22% of them, than those who have not switched their faith from Iran, which is only 8%. Can you imagine that? Pew Research estimated that there were roughly 3.5 million Muslims of all ages living in the United States in 2017. The organization noted that Muslims made up about only 1.1% of the U.S. population. Now, what's going on there? Well, it's kind of obvious. You've got Sunni Muslims and you've got Shia Muslims. Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims don't like each other because they have severe doctrinal differences, very similar in Christianity, of Baptist fighting. There are 60 different Baptist denominations, and they all formed out of a dispute with a previous Baptist denomination. Baptists fight all the time over doctrine. Well, Sunni and Shia Muslims fight all the time over doctrine, and it has to do with the succession of the faith subsequent to the death of Muhammad. But here's the deal. Sunni Muslims are more strict. They are ISIS, for example. Shia Muslims are from Iran, and they're more liberal. Well, the Iranians get over here in the United States, and they see all the incredible benefits of liberty and justice for all. They come from a very repressive regime where the economy is destroyed, poverty is everywhere, and the job market is atrocious. In Iran, for example, unemployment for young people is like 70%. Can you even imagine that? 70% of the people not working? That's beyond belief. If the unemployment rate gets over 5% here in America, people are freaking out. But in Islam, one of the things that petrifies Americans, and it well should, is the Sunni concept of Sharia law. Sharia law has requirements that are considered felonies here in the United States. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. We have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights here, and Sharia law ignores both and is extremely dangerous. Women and homosexuals in particular should be petrified of Sharia law. For example, under the law, which many Muslims want to enact here in the United States, drinkers and gamblers are to be publicly flogged. According to Sharia law, it's okay to slap and beat your wife to straighten her out. Well, here in America, that's domestic violence. That's a felony. Flogging someone is a felony assault. According to Sharia law, it's legal to take revenge on someone who hurts you. In fact, they implement an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth legislation here. If you're caught stealing something, according to Sharia law, you are to cut the person's hands off. Cutting people's hands off in America is a felony and considered cruel and unusual punishment. If you are a highway robber, the punishment is mutilation or crucifixion under Sharia law. Wow, in America, you're looking at either prison time, jail time, or probation. It is legal to execute homosexuals under Sharia law. Adulterers are to be executed by stoning. Here in America, adultery is considered a hobby. Under Sharia law, unmarried sex between consenting adults is punishable by public flogging. Here in America, adultery between consenting adults, and even if they're married or not, doesn't matter, is considered a hobby and worthy of getting an autograph. Under Sharia law, if you criticize the Quran, you will be executed. If you criticize Muhammad, you will be executed. And it is legal under Sharia law to kill people who leave the Muslim faith and join another one, a different faith. If you left Islam and joined Hinduism, you are allowed to murder that person. And in addition, under Sharia law, you are allowed to kill your son or your daughter if they publicly disgrace their family. In addition, under Sharia law, jihad is legal. You can declare a jihad against another group or another country under Sharia law. That's incredible. In the United States, that is obviously a felony. None of these insane Sharia laws could possibly be adopted here in America with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the case history at the Supreme Court of the United States. This is a country of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Islam is the opposite of that. This religion is very scary to people because, for example, if a jihad is declared, then when you overcome the other group or the other nation or the other state or the other country, you're allowed to enslave their women and children. Raping the women is permissible. You're allowed to turn women into sex slaves under jihad. You're allowed to murder old men and monks. Captured enemies are allowed to be executed or enslaved or ransomed for money under a jihad. Can you imagine this? You can confiscate civilian property. You can destroy civilian homes. You can remove assets from civilian homes. Pagan Arabs, for example, under a jihad, must either convert or be executed. If jihad involves conquering Jews or Christians, they have three options available. The Christians or Jews can fight and die, or convert and pay a forced tax. It's called zakat tax. Or, if they keep their biblical faith, Jew or Christian, they must pay a fine called a yitza. It's similar to a poll tax. Folks, when people begin to take a close look at the religion of Islam, a series of things becomes imperatively clear. It's not a religion of truth. It is a religion of violence. Sharia law is completely, legally, morally, and ethically incompatible with the American way of life. It is completely the opposite of the Lord Jesus Christ's teachings and the Lord Jesus Christ's salvation and his blood and his resurrection. Everything about Islam is false. There is no Allah. Muhammad is not his prophet because there's no one to be a prophet of. Allah does not exist. If we assume God does not exist and all religions are simply things made up in people's mind, the last religion that will be able to survive here in America with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is Islam. Fortunately, by the grace of God, the religion is in a massive decline here in America. See you next time.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.